G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. We are here on Water Drake. That is correct. It is a brand new map that we're going to be taking a look at today. Let's introduce our players spawning on the south side of the map. As the Japanese in the color yellow, we've got Puppy Paw. And on the north side of the map in the color red, playing as the Ayyubids representing my insanity, it's Anatan. Ladies and gentlemen, Water Drake, it's a brand new map. I remember seeing this map. I think there was a map making contest a fair while ago. I'm pretty sure I voted on this map, and I remember saying this map was actually really cool. There's a couple of things I love about this map. Number one, it's this that out in the middle here, you can see we've got docks out here. There's some shoreline fish, but this is all traversable by units. This is all very shallow water. But one thing to note is that you've got this false sense of security in this wood line. There's a wood line towards your opponent. It's quite a big wood line as well. But you've got to remember that this wood line, it's not going to last forever. So it's similar in a way to Wood Wall. If you guys remember that map where there's a big wood line in the middle, it's similar in that regard because I can just throw up a wall here and I can feel good about myself. But it's only a matter of time until this wood wall comes down and exposes me, or at least the front of my base, towards my enemy. So that's something that we'll keep an eye out for. Of course, the matchup we've got today is a pretty decent one as well. Two new civilizations, of course, the Ayyubids, the Japanese. I say new, but they've been out for like 8 months now, so they're not really new. I mean, they're new in the scheme of, you know, Age of Empires 4. But speaking of new, are we getting new civs this year? There's something that tells me we're probably not. I don't think it's going to happen. I would love for it to happen, but I just don't see it happening. Like, when you think about the rate of support that we're currently receiving for Age of Empires 4, I just don't see it on the cards. And I wish it wasn't the case. I wish I could say, you know, like, yeah, guys, it's going to be great. There's going to be new civs this year. You know, we got new civs last year, and we got new civs the year before. But I don't think so. I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening, Chief. But take a look at this. We've got some docks starting to come up. So one thing to note is both of the civs that have been picked here today do have advantages in the early stages of the game when it comes to the economic side of water. Because when it comes to the militaristic side of water, there are civs that have advantages, like the English, as an example, who gets cheaper warships. They also get a little bit of longer range. Whereas with the Japanese get cheaper fishing boats. So they're only paying 45 wood per fishing boat. Compare that to their opponents, however, and the Ayyubids have got cheaper docks. So they do pay the full price for their fishing boats, but their docks are much cheaper. So we can see only 75 wood right there. So both civs will be able to save some early wood early on in this game. There you go, lots of earlies and lots of wood, which is always good to see. But looks like it might be a bit of a double dock opening. Is that what we're going to have here? I'll have to wait and see exactly what the plan is. But holy moly, that was a quick age up. I didn't even... Excuse me? Hold on. What? I guess that's just one of the things that happen. That's just one of the things that happens when the UI hasn't been fixed for 8 months and we don't know when the Ayyubids are aging up or not. The Ayyubids just aged up that quickly. 3 minutes and 10 seconds? That was damn quick. So he's gone up with the quick advanced option, the cheaper, the faster option. I didn't even see that on the cards. And have a look at this. Already gets the Dow out onto the water. So we're going to have a bit of a blend here. Water combat, land combat as well, all coming together to fight. And you can see that Puppy Paw might be under a little bit of pressure on this south side of the map as Anatan makes his way down towards it. We can see the rally point was coming in. A little bit of a walling attempt coming through. Will be denied out by Anatan. And Anatan's going to be... Oh, I'm slowly working through my buttons here. Anatan makes his way down here, deposits that last bit of food, and now finally comes down towards this angle. So we can see that Anatan's done a good job in scouting up towards the north side, but naturally knows his opponent is going to want to play on that short side of his base, so down towards this, because it's going to be away from the opponent. Scout now going to start sieging down that dock in the middle. Age up slowly coming through. It's going to be the Coca Township, but one thing to note is that Puppy Paw puts down this landmark, which is considered a really good landmark on hybrid maps. He puts this landmark down after Anatan has actually aged up to the feudal age. That is incredibly quick. How fast, how swift Anatan was in this game. So Puppy Paw, I'm suspecting from here, he's going to be looking, as soon as he ages up, he's going to be going into a war junk. And then from there, he'll be able to just keep the dock held with the single shinobi, probably rally out another shinobi or another 2 shinobi towards that. But there's a good chance that we might see the Dow come back to defend the dock, just acknowledging that that may be the case. So we do see that now that shinobi is in queue. You guys remember the good old days when the shinobi came out instantly? It was a little bit broken back then. But I'm kind of curious to see where Anatan goes from here. I'd like to think that he just goes straight into Castle Age. It would make the most sense to me, just going straight up into Castle Age and looking to probably go up with the Eco Wing, looking to get those villages. So you can see that it says it grants 8 villages. That's a lot of villages. And we do indeed see the Dow, and as well as a backler coming in. So it means that Puppy Paw is not going to be able to really get any pressure down on this dock. Outposts going to be thrown up as well, and you can see he's already on the defensive, having to put down these outposts very early on in the game. Now, one of the difficult things that you might have in this game is pushing across to your enemy's base. If you've just got military units in the feudal age, where it gets a bit easier is once you reach the castle age, you'll have access to the Springald, and the Springald's going to give you that real nice defense against any potential threats on water. But of course, if your opponent goes pretty heavily on water, there's always the risk that they could get a little bit more hectic. You know, if you've got 5 or 6 demo ships, that could be difficult for your Springalds to actually deal with. So that's always something to keep in mind with as well. But now moving down towards that south side, he's going to be training up the war junk. So we do see the first military vessel out for him is just going to be the normal junk, and now falling back onto that war junk and hoping that he can draw his opponent away from this position. We start to see a second dock being thrown down here. So it's going to mean that the Coca Township is pretty negligible in this matchup here. So I tell you what, I'm a little bit saddened that we missed that super duper early age up, but at the same time, I mean, it just demonstrates how quick it was, right? Like, I wasn't even expecting it, let alone I don't think Puppy Paw was expecting it. I wonder what kind of age up he was expecting. Maybe like military wing. I don't know if military wing really makes that much sense. I mean, he had to be expecting the fast age up, but then yeah, I don't know. Anatan was just so damn quick with that timing. So very well played from him. We do see a second Shinobi is going to be coming out here. Now, one thing to note is that the Shinobi does have the ability to change its form. We can see that even though this unit here is red on our screens, it is actually a red unit. I wasn't sure whether he'd decided to change when we weren't looking to put some pressure on. Take a look at the docks. We do now start to see explosive junks on the way through. Double backler here. We'll have trouble with that demolition ship, and there it comes out, racing its way down towards the middle. Shouldn't have a problem hitting both of these. They're going to find himself a nice little split. Oh, wow. Beautifully controlled right there from Anatan. Somehow manages to avoid taking damage on either of those backlers. Had that backler been connected with that explosive down, it would have been a certain sinking, but unfortunately today, for Puppy Paw, it's not going to be a submersible ship for Anatan. It's going to be well and truly on the surface. Manages to take out that war junk, get some decent damage here. A little bit of a 2-1-1 action. Shinobi back on the gold mine, manages to find some decent damage over here. One villager going down so far, so it's one apiece at the moment. And second Shinobi able to pick up the second one. Also gets a little bit of siege going on here. Does get the sabotage off. Now looks to put damage up on that north side. So if we ride on board with Anatan, we will actually see from his line of sight, he does have pretty decent coverage here. Also got the military wing, or rather the archery range coming out now. I was going to say the military wing. No Drongo. No Drongo. No military wings today. So Desert Raider should be able to force away those Shinobis. But at the moment, Anatan, with really good control, very good knowledge of his opponent, he can spot out that his opponent has just put a whole bunch of Vils over onto gold. And speaking of Vils on gold, I just want to keep checking in on this House of Wisdom to make sure that there's no secret little age ups that are coming in here. I'm so scared of missing them that, well, I missed them, didn't I? Shinobi trying his best. Don't think it's going to be able to escape today. Is that an emplacement? That's going to be an emplacement. Should be able to keep alive this dock. Might even want to think about bringing a villager down just to make sure that it doesn't get bombed with the demo ships. And look how fast that Shinobi was. Unfortunately, not going to be fast enough, as it does get caught by the Desert Raider in the end. One thing to note, though, is not a huge amount of fishing boats coming out for either of these players. And that's largely because there's not really that many fish, and it's just shoreline fish that are out here. It's not deep sea fish. And have a look at this. Take a look at this. We've got our Castle Age already coming through from Puppy Paw. Normally, in this matchup, you would expect the Ayyubids would be the faster one to age up. I mean, to be honest, both of them do prioritize Castle Age quite early on. But have a look at this. We've got a stable now starting to come up from Puppy Paw. Floating gate. So do expect to see that first Yorishiro heading into the stable. And then from there, maybe look to pick up a couple of relics. He's also got the sacred sites. That's another thing to note. There are triple sacred sites on this map. Walls also starting to come up for Anatan. Very defensive, or very... not defensive, but rather very aggressive walls in this situation. They are quite deep on the enemy territory, or in the enemy territory. So you can see an attempt right there to force his opponents not to attack him. not successful here. He's just given up. He's given up. You were so close to being able to make it out there, my friend, but unfortunately not today. So 12 military units on the field at the moment for Anatan. But just remember that once that castle age is reached, there it is now with the floating gate. Once this castle age has been reached, once the Yorishiro gets placed in the stable, expect to see... I was a little bit worried he was going to throw it in the TC. Expect to see some crazy mounted samurai numbers here. This is where he could look to really flood the map. And ideally, you just want to be hitting the enemy everywhere they're gathering at the moment. So that means on the gold, on the wood line. It gets very difficult in those circumstances for Anatan to defend. Because keep in mind, even though he does have the camels out, being the Desert Raiders, and they're decent against the enemy cavalry, the mounted samurai are still incredibly strong units. So you've got to be very careful of them. Golden Age Tier 1 now activated. Still no Castle Age coming through just yet for Anatan. Definitely has the amount of vills required if he wants to think about going to Castle Age on gold. It's always a commitment you've got to make whenever you transfer those vills over. It's very much a commitment, just because it's typically, you know, you've got 2-3 vills on gold, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to go Castle Age, 10 vills to gold, that sort of thing. So it's a big movement. But let's talk a little bit about relics at the moment. 2 relics on the map on this north side, 2 relics on the south side as well. Or I guess it's probably easier to split it east and west. I don't know whether we've got any picked up, so I think it might just be a case of only 4 relics on this map that have spawned. You don't see the one in the middle, unfortunately, so all the Holy Roman Empire and Giga Chat enjoyers out there, unfortunately not going to be feeling too good about this map with the lower number of relics. But now the Mounted Samurai looking to join the battle. Getting chased down by a couple of Desert Raiders. We'll check in once again with that House of Wisdom. Still no upgrades coming through just yet, or no age ups coming through just yet for Anatan. Puppy Paw looking to put on pressure, heading towards that enemy gold mine. We're right on board with him. He's got not a lot of information on this side, just a single scout that stands strong. Shinto Priest is looking to snipe away some of the relics that are out here, and more Mounted Samurai coming around. He's looking to make a connection onto the gold vein, but just leading his opponent on a bit of a goose chase for now. As long as he's able to keep those units tailing him, he'll feel good about himself. We can see that he's attempting to stop the wall from being constructed. This has been a very big wall. I suspect a lot of Americans would be very proud of this wall. A huge wall. One of the greatest walls. But unfortunately, there's a hole in it. Not typically one of the things that you'd like to see when it comes to walls. Normally you want to avoid holes. They're great for keeping things in, even better for keeping things out, but only when they are, when they're not holy. Because, well, yeah, look, we'll talk more about walls later. Let's focus on the game now, Drongo. Mounted Samurai forced away. Now, one thing to note is the Mounted Samurai is technically a melee unit, but it's also a ranged unit, which means that the Horseman counters it. It gets extra damage against it. Mounted Samurai doesn't get extra damage against it. So even though it does have a very high base damage, Mounted Samurai actually don't do that well against them. At least we can see right here getting shredded. Now keep in mind, this is age 2 against age 3 units. That's the difference right there. So ideally you want to just be avoiding fighting and just going after these vills, which we can see that's happening. So far 7 workers taken down for Puppy Paw, doing the right thing, really looking to focus down those villagers as much as he can here. Anatan does still have the lead on villager count, just by an ever so slight amount. When it comes to fishing boats, there's still a couple of them out on the map, but realistically, not a huge difference between having 0 and having however many currently in existence. Towards the north, a little bit more of a chase coming through. Plenty of Desert Raiders out here. He's going to get the charge off. I'd almost be tempted to say, I feel like switching in Horsemen here could have been a little bit more of a smarter play for Puppy Paw, because the Horsemen do very well against the Desert Raiders because they do have that bonus damage. And even though technically it's not as much damage as the Mounted Samurai has, they're cheaper. That's the other thing to note. They're cheaper, they're faster, and you can make more of them because they are cheaper. And we've got, hold on. Have we got a classic, is this a cavalry versus ship battle? I'm pretty sure, and I'm not even joking here, I'm pretty sure there was actually, there is a historical precedent for this. Now, I'm not going to eat my shoe if I'm wrong on this, but I will say I think there is a case of cavalry going down, or rather a ship going down to cavalry. I'm going to Google it after this just to make sure. I won't leave any updates or anything like that, but yes, I will definitely, I will say I'm pretty confident. I'm going to 96% certainty on this one. Now, speaking of 96% certainty, make sure you guys come along this weekend and check out the Master of Realms. That's where this game's from. This is from EGC TV's tournament that is happening at the moment. Of course, another S-tier Age of Empires 4 event hosted by the big man himself, Pesty. He's putting a lot of work out there right now. So big shout out to him. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can go and watch it live. It'll be happening this weekend, 15 GMT. At least that's when I'm telling you guys. I don't know if that's actually the time. It could, you know, it could be at 13 GMT. It could be at 16 GMT. But I'm just going to go with 15 GMT. I think that's probably the safest bet. That's normally what it is. Now, one thing to note is I feel like Puppy Paw is throwing away a lot of mounted samurai here. You can see military numbers. It's still, like, it's definitely in his favor at the moment because the mounted samurai are a little bit more expensive than the Desert Raiders. But it definitely feels like Anatan has taken better trades than his opponent. Another thing to note is that there's quite a bit of military vessels out on the side for Anatan, so a lot of that is going to be counted towards it. You can see he's building up. Look how low on health all of these units are, and what's going on with my sails here? I don't know about you guys, but I'm missing a few pixels here, so I do apologize. Do keep in mind I am still, at the moment, on holiday. I'll be back soon in Australia. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to being back in Australia. That's going to be great. There's positives and there's negatives about being in Australia and being in the Philippines, which is where I am at the moment. I do up a video for you guys, but I don't know how much you guys would really enjoy that. I will say, positives about being in the Philippines. It is how affordable it is to order food. Oh my lord, my god. Like, I woke up this morning at 10:30 and I ordered Starbucks for myself, and it cost me like $6, $6 Australian dollars to get it delivered. And, I got the full shebang when it comes to Starbucks. So in American dollars, that's probably close to like $4. And that's kind of nice to have, because it's just, in Australia, that would have cost me, I would have had to like donate my arm to some sort of underground. Speaking of underground, oh no, these Japanese mounted samurai are about to be underground. Have a look at this Anatan aging up to feudal age very, very quickly, but then just staying in the feudal age for a really long time. At this stage, Puppy Paw's been in the castle age for like, what, going on 8 minutes now? It's been a really long time, but he's just happy to fight him with the Desert Raiders. A huge, massive Desert Raiders now coming out. It's almost like the kryptonite to the Japanese are these Desert Raiders. Now, granted, Puppy Paw is still not making the switch, and you got to remember, Puppy Paw is an incredibly good player. One of the best in the world. I would probably put him in my top 3. That's how good this guy is. So it's kind of wild that he's not switching or not. I don't know, maybe not respecting is probably the right way to say it. He's not respecting the fact that his enemy is just making Desert Raiders. Maybe he could just switch into infantry. Is that what he's thinking? Like, maybe I'll just go a whole bunch of Honor Bageisha? But even then, I mean, it's just kind of wild that he's got this many mounted samurai out on the field at the moment, 13, up against his opponent with 17 camels or Desert Raiders, and is just, yeah, really committing to the stick, what's it called when comedians? The bit. He's committing to the bit right now. Nice little wall coming in from him at the moment. Still controlling the center though. Anatan is definitely a bit of a weird game coming out from Puppy Paw. I would say that he's tried to like channel his inner GUA and give his opponent the runaround, but Anatan's just pretty much had the answer to it. Like, granted, Anatan has lost villages, but at the same time, his eco numbers are looking good. Once again, going to be taking another bad trade, and I can't help but feel like this might just be one of those games where Puppy Paw takes so many bad trades that begin to build up over the course of the game that Anatan's just left with this huge army, and all it's going to take is Anatan just to run it down mid, stop chasing around all these little mounted samurai raids everywhere, and just run it down mid, and the game will just end. And I fear that's what's going to happen here. So Puppy Paw needs to be careful of that. I would almost be tempted to say to Puppy Paw, think about deleting the stable. Look to get that Yorishiro in a Rax and just start spamming out a whole bunch of spears and look to push your opponent with that. Alternatively, like, you can move into Horsemen, but like, look at this. We've got Vills that are going down. He's taken out 17 workers so far. He is picking up relics as well. So I don't know, man. There's a part of me that thinks like, he could still be in this game, but then there's a part of me that's like, I don't know, man. Demo ship comes through. Not a huge amount of value that comes in there. He should be able to just go back and heal them up. Mounted Samurai down towards the south side are going to be able to escape. Of course, a couple of war junks here, managing to keep it safe. 4th relic now on the way through. That's going to be 100% of the relics going over to Puppy Paw. Keep in mind, at this stage of the game, Anatan is still in the feudal age. He is, though, aging up. It is going to be the eco wing growth. And I will just say, it's kind of remarkable to me at how strong this age up is. the fact that we're 20 minutes into this game, Anatan's got 70 vills, and yet still he feels the burden, not the burden, but the desire to go into the eco wing because it's still so powerful, right? Like when you think about it, adding 8 vills, you've got 70 vills, it's still adding like an extra 12% to your economy, which is wild that players feel that, you know, that's how good it is. Like, you could be at 100 vills and players would still be like, yeah, 8 vills is still 8 vills, man. I'm just going to have to take it. It's really not... to me, it really doesn't seem that good. Maybe if you're on 2 TC, you could justify not going for it. But I guess being on 1 TC, definitely the case that it makes a lot of sense. So, Castle Age about to come through here for Anatan. He's got plenty of resources in the bank. Is he just thinking about running it down to Imperial? You know what? He could totally do it as well. Just go into military wing, into the reinforcement. He's got the resources for it. Look at this. I mean, ideally, when you get Castle Age, what are you even looking for your upgrades? You're looking for veterancy. And hold on a minute. He's going to take a huge fight in the middle. Puppy Paw looking to try and force his opponent out of position. Meanwhile, Demo Ship's going to go down. Age Up still not yet in it. He's still on Age 2. Puppy Paw is going to fall back. I tell you what, if he wants to fight, he needs to fight right now. This is so important for Anatan to commit to to avoid a fight right now. Your Age Up has just come through. Your upgrades are 49 seconds away. Just hold the phone. Don't commit just yet. There's a lot of mounted samurai on the field. Getting that veterancy upgrade is going to mean huge upgrades with regard to health, with regard to damage for your units, but he's still going to commit to the fight. Don't do it. There's a demo ship nearby as well. He will be able to switch it over, manages to get a range shot on, still going to be able to hit the backler and connect. Meanwhile, he's on range for all of this, and look at him getting torn apart. Puppy Paw somehow managing to pull it out. Anatan did get the Age Up through. He's got a whole bunch of units in queue, but it's not going to matter. Puppy Paw destroys him because he was stuck in range for a lot of that time and fights without the upgrade, and that's the game. Puppy Paw somehow manages to take that one off Anatan. It looked almost certain to me. I was sitting at like 93.5% Anatan victory. I guess that just shows you how much my radar is off. Ladies and gentlemen, go check them out this weekend. Of course, they will be live over on EGC TV, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.